Greetings, YouTube. Apparently, whatever creeping cry that is that I've picked up from work is going everywhere. Multiple people I work with are sick, so at least I'm not alone. And this weekend, I picked up a bit of gaming. It's 3x6 inside a container. So, like, you can never accuse somebody of messing with their dice. It's just kind of silly, but I collect dice. So, today I'm going to talk about the Races of Destiny, the last of the core Races books, though I think there's one more I still need to do with Races of Eberron. And again, I'll be looking at the table of contents. And the main races the book covers are, of course, human, half-elf, and half-orc. And again, like the other books, these base races are covered thoroughly. You have lots of information about them, though I'm not really sure how much information you're going to need about humans, because everyone who plays this game is at least marginally human. And actually, after I've read Pathfinder, I find the half-orcs and the half-elves that D&D has to be somewhat lacking. I prefer how they're handled in Pathfinder. But that covers a good 50 pages of the book. So that's a fair hunk right there, those three races being covered. And then we have the new race, because every one of these books introduces a new race. And it's the new race is known as the Illumians. Now, the Illumians look like ordinary humans. There is one, however, key factor different, in that they have floating around their heads glowing letters, like little holograms, floating around their skull. Now, there's a picture here on the cover that shows you what that looks like. Somebody with floating letters around their heads. Now, the idea is that these are a part of the very essence of this being. That these letters, they can turn them off, as in the sense of making them go down so you can't see them. But they don't function when they're down like that, because when they're up, they grant the person who has them, the Illuminium, they have the ability to grant them a magical capabilities. In addition, they have a resonance with glyph-type magic. It can be a good thing or a bad thing. They can react very well to glyph magic, or they can react really badly to glyph magic. And they are always literate. Always. Speak languages is always a class skill for them. And so I guess you could play a barbarian here, and be a literate barbarian if you wanted to. And it's an interesting concept, I guess. But frankly, it just struck me as being rather odd. I mean, one of the beauties of playing a human is that you get that extra feat and extra skill points, and yet you're the generic. You're the person that fills in all the roles that aren't specialized by another race. And that's what I like about humans. That's why I often choose humans as player characters, because they've got that versatility. I like that. This is a specialized human with some unique characteristics, but it's the characteristics that show absolutely no attraction for me whatsoever. I have no interest in this race as a GM or as a player. In fact, when this book was released, I can remember no buzz whatsoever about this race on any of the forums or any of the Usenet news groups that I read. Nobody seemed to care. And I have not seen anybody come out of the woodwork and say, hey, it's a great race for this or that. I've seen no decent builds built around this race. It just struck me as being very much an interesting idea, but I guess, but I don't know. Just, it fell short of something it could have been, I guess. Then we have, let's see, after that, we have other races. The Aasimar, Doppelgangers. And I think I like the way they handle those in Eberron. The half-ogre, which is a pretty nasty, large race. And I prefer my half-ogres to be medium-sized. I think it should be medium-sized with a powerful build as opposed to large, but that's just me. The mongrel folk, mongrel folk have always kind of made me smile. The idea that if all these different races can interbreed with each other, eventually you're going to end up with one group of individuals that are just this incredibly polyglot of racial traits. That's kind of an interesting idea, though I personally would never run them in a game. Seakin, which are aquatic humans, but they did a race like that in the Stormwrack book, so I don't I don't know. I just thought, again, it just seemed to be missing the mark for me. This Sharakim, which is a race I'd never heard of before this book. It's kind of a Middle Eastern, almost demonic kind of thing vibe going there for it. The Skulk, which is a sneaky, dark vision kind of race. The Tiefling, of course, they're always popular. The Underfolk, which is essentially underground dwelling humans, but I don't really see a need for them either. We have a number of underground dwelling races. Why do we need a version of humans? I don't know. There's some prestige classes. The Chameleon, which is very good, very versatile, lots of skill points. Quite handy to have that in your group. The Menacing Brute, which is kind of a nice one. The Outcast Champion, which I thought was kind of interesting. The idea that you would be a champion of the outcast social structure. I thought that was kind of a cool idea. The Urban Soul, the idea of really becoming one with the urban nature of who you are and with the society around you. I thought that was kind of cool. Then we have a bunch of feats, of course. Some tactical feats. I kind of like the tactical feats. Substitution levels for half-elf bard, half-elf fighter, half-elf ranger. And substitution levels for half-orc barbarian, half-orc druid, and half-orc paladin. Paladin's kind of a nice option there because most people don't think of half-orcs as being a good choice for paladin. And I gotta tell you, the standard 3.5 half-orc, I still don't think it's a great choice. I would prefer to run that as a Pathfinder half-orc. Then Campaigns of Destiny, dealing with setting up campaigns based around the main races of this book. So overall, it's a good book if you like humans and half-breed races. And if you have any interest in the Illumians, I'm just not the target audience for this book. I bought it because it was part of the series, and I wanted to have it around as reference. Some of the feats are good. There's a feat in here which lets, if you have 4 languages, if you take this feat, every time you gain a level, you gain a new language. You become an incredibly talented multilingual individual, and I think that was a very cool idea. So it's a good book if you want to flesh out your campaign and you have the other 2 race books. I'd say get this one. But if you're never going to really be emphasizing the half races or the humans, maybe this is something you want to pass on.